Welcome back, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. Your good friend Walter here at the workbench with yet another unboxing. I wanted to get this one done before I started taking apart the Taylor Toolworks number 6. This is a very special plane. Not so much because of what it is, but because of my connection with the person whose father it used to belong to. Now, I don't know how you feel, and maybe I'm just too romantic, I guess you would say, towards old tools. When a craftsman, oh, lots of bubble wrap, that's good. When a craftsman has a tool and they use it repeatedly, year after year after year, it kind of, I think part of their soul goes into it. I think I can drop this down. So this was shipped to me 3 years ago. I knew what it was, so I didn't need to open it until I was ready to do something with it. It even came with a little card from the sender. But I feel that tools take on a personality, the personality of their owner. So when, thank you again, Walter, for all your help. Okay. So this was something that the lady and her family were cleaning out their family home. The father had passed away, the mother had passed away, and everybody else had moved away. So it was time that they would either someone would inherit the home and live there, or they would have to sell it. Don't you love the sound of tape? So they made the decision to sell it, and in order to sell it, they had to clear out the workshop. There we go. So this is what they sent me as a thank you. This is a Bedrock corrugated sole number 5. Well, number 605. Number 605. I had never had an original Bedrock in my workshop. So when they offered this to me, I had my choice of different tools. So I gladly took the Bedrock. Now, this will be an important video, and I may go back to it because so many people get an old plane and immediately they think they have to restore it. First thing you do is nothing. Absolutely nothing. excuse the space heater. So, like I was saying, a plane will take on a character based on the user. Now, I can automatically see that I have a replacement blade and chip breaker. This is not an original Bedrock. Doesn't bother me. It's a virtually new set. Stanley, made in England. Okay, with the standard chip breaker. It's got the original Bedrock lever cap. So that's on there good and tight. Who knows how many years it's been since this plane has been out of off the shelf, and there we are. So it's got an original, when I say original, to Stanley design of the knurled screw head. So this looks nearly brand spanking new. I'm looking at the cutting edge, and I'm not sure if that's factory with just a hone or if he took it to a grinder. But you can feel on the corners, everything's still sharp. So this was not used very much. And the chip breaker has the original machining across the front. We're going to have to change that a little bit. But like I was saying, when someone uses a tool for many years, it takes on, I don't want to call it a personality, but I always feel, I get a little emotional when I get rid of the edge that was left on here by the previous user, because that person was the last person to touch this. You follow me? Or am I just being a sap? So here we go. This is my setup when I get a new used plane. Let's get over here where you can see me. There we go. When I get a new used plane, the first thing I do is nothing. I will put an edge on the blade. We'll see what we need. The back has nothing has been done to the back. So what I'll do there is start with a wipe down of a little bit of cutting oil. Just a little bit. Just wipe it down. Clean it up a little bit. And what's interesting, I don't know if you know what happens when you leave a tool sit. If you take a new blade and you put the chip breaker on it and you expose this area to air, and there's moisture in the air and there are salts in the air. So this is beginning to oxidize up here. We can clean that up. So I am going to go to my 1000 grit, put a dot or two of fluid on there, and I'm just going to take the back side to it, lay it down flat, and just see what I have. It's sucking tight to it. That feels pretty flat. Where am I touching? Wow. Can't even, there's a slight circular mark here. Slight circular mark. But that is reasonably flat. So I'm going to come back a little bit. Just about 1 inch in. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm not going to mess around too much with the back. I'm going to go to the 180. Just a couple dots of oil. Let's see. Let me see if he reground that. Yeah, it's virtually square. Virtually square. So that might be the original factory edge. Heel to toe, and just a couple of passes. That should be enough. Okay. So you see, the corners are touching, but the center is not. So we have to fix that. That we have to fix. Yeah. Might need a little more work than I thought. Actually, the corners were not touching. It was the center that was touching. Ah, so this was reground once, at least once. Okay. I don't need to go any further right now. See, the corners were actually ground a little bit back. Just a little bit there and there. But we now have a cutting edge all the way across that top surface, and we should have, no, we don't have a burr yet. All right, a little bit more. Starting to get a burr now. All right, now I've got a burr across the whole thing. So the 180 is done. Clean that off. I like to flip my 180 over because it has a smooth back. Now we go to the 300. Clean that off. And now we can go to the 1000. So, as I was saying, I do nothing to a plane the first time I hold it in my hands in my workshop. And the main reason is it may not need much to actually be a good user. And restoring a plane would mean you're taking the plane back to the condition it was in the day it came out of the factory. Well, you don't want the plane. You don't want the tool the way it was the day it came out of the factory. You want the tool the way it's meant to work. Does that make any sense? So what do we got now? Wow, this plane blade is almost dead flat on the back. I'm not using the ruler trick. Can you see that? So you can get some light on it. There we go. Yeah, I almost have a completely straight edge across the top. Wow. I've never seen a Stanley quite like that. Not the new old stock. That's great. Great news. So we're going to go take that burr off. And back to the back. And that's it. That is all I'm going to do to it. Except maybe a quick strop. Maybe a quick strop. Wow. That's very nice. Wow. You know, people talk about the thin blades and how you need a thick blade. But when you study the design of the Bailey patent plane, you'll find that the thinness of these, I'll show you what we got back here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. There you go. It's flat, it's polished. Front edge, polished. The thinness of the chip breaker and the blade, when you combine all the components, each component of the Stanley planes, they work together. I'm not going to set this too fine for the first time out. See how she goes. Now, the only other thing I will do before we try the plane is we'll take a little bit of oil on a rag. Put some of it up here on the frog. And I know this is not 3-in-1 oil, but I will put a dot or 2 or 3 of it on the lateral. Handle's just slightly loose. And that's to be expected. Tighten that screw. Tighten this screw. Tighten the knob screw. And I don't think that needs it. Nope. Alrighty. Sneak this down in there. Pop the hood back on. Has to be just a little bit tighter. Not much. There we go. And that's it. Advance the blade. Okay. Back it up a little bit. I think that's a little heavy. And we get a piece of wood. Oh. Get a piece of wood. And we see what we got. See, this is what I mean. You don't have to do anything to a plane until you just hone the blade. Look at that. So, I don't have a date on this plane yet. I'll try and date it. '05. It does have the patent dates in there. It does have the brass knurled knob. I'd place this probably pre-World War II for certain. Remember I mentioned in the last video, a plane should pull itself to task. Look at that. Plane probably has not been used in at least 20 to 40 years. Absolutely beautiful. And that's with a blade set at about 16th inch back from the cutting edge, a chip breaker. That's amazing. Can I go finer? See if I can go a little finer. I don't want to go too fine. That should work. One of these days I should make myself a plain blade screwdriver. Let's see how that does. So there's going to be dirt and grit and grime to come off of this. I can do that with soapy water. Actually, one of my favorite, you can look back in some of my old videos, one of my favorite things to use is laundry detergent, powdered laundry detergent. So that's as fine as I dare set it. Now I want to show you something. Let's see if I bring it back a little bit. If it changes the shape of the curl. Yeah, that's way back now. That's a good amount back now. You can see it. Let's see if that changes the shape of the curl, the shaving. You set your chip breaker only as fine as the shaving you're trying to make. If you're cutting good thick shavings, so like that, there is no need to put the chip breaker right up close to the cutting edge. Wow. So there you have it. 605 Bedrock antique plane. It's got the tall knob, so that'll help date it. And it's got the patent numbers back there. I'm not sure, but I believe them to be rosewood knob and tote. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments section. I'll show this plane to you when I see. I don't even need to worry if the sole is flat. Don't even need to. It's doing its job. Doing its job. So if you want shiny, fancy tools and you want to polish them up, go for it. If you want to do work, doesn't matter. I love this plane. This plane has a lot of meaning to me now. So I won't be doing too much to it. I'll clean it a little bit, oil it up. But knowing that it came from one craftsman to another, that's great. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for stopping by. So glad you could be with me. May you have a blessed day. But just remember, like, subscribe, share, comment, thumbs up, all those things. Ring the bell. But most importantly, head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.